Welcome to On the Go with AAUW, the American Association of University Women. I'm your host, Jennifer DeSano, Executive Director of the Osher Lifelong Learning Institute at George Mason University. Today we will be discussing Britepaths, formerly known as Our Daily Bread, which is run as a nonprofit organization that helps individuals and families in times of need. Today my guests are the Executive Director of Britepaths, Lisa Wetzel, and a board member of Britepaths, Catherine Reed. Welcome, Lisa. Catherine.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. I usually like to start this program out by asking you about how you arrived at working for your organization, your life journey a little bit, and then we'll get into the organization itself. Do you want to begin?
Sure. So I graduated from college with a social work minor and was very interested in that and got into social work after college, and then after my kids, I got married and kids went off to school, then I was presented with this opportunity to launch the financial literacy programs at formerly Our Daily Bread, and then I've just stayed with the organization, and I've been with the organization for about 12 years, and 10 of those as the executive director, and seen it grown from 3 staff to now 16, almost 18 staff. And so it's been a really exciting run to see how the founders have started the organization to what it is now.
Thank you, Lisa. And Catherine?
So I came on board with the organization through social media. I started my own social media consulting business in 2007. And I'm also a Rotarian with the Centerville Chantilly Rotary Club. And as it turned out, Diane Hill, who was a fellow Rotarian, took a job doing development work for Britepaths. And she's like, Lisa, you should get Catherine to come in here and explain how to use social media. And that was probably
2007?
Probably 2008.
Maybe.
I think it was 2008. And a lot of people weren't using social media. I mean, we talked about Twitter, we talked about Facebook, we talked about the URL, we talked about branding and how all of those things needed to be consistent so people could find us. And that really was in the early days of social media. But even then, it was important to build a community and for people to be able to find us, to connect with other people who supported us, to get information about what we were doing. And so having built that infrastructure, I think has made a tremendous difference to the organization as we've grown and as we've added other programs.
Right, it's definitely been essential just for marketing because of the social media. It was all free, and we didn't have a budget. We were a nonprofit on a shoestring budget, and so it was a way for us to really get the message out. An electronic newsletter and all of that was very advantageous for us.
And you now have evolved even more in your marketing and so forth. So Britepaths, it started out as Our Daily Bread. Mm-hmm. It was 30 plus years ago. Why don't we begin with that story?
Sure. So for the past, as long as I've been there, we've talked about the challenges with the name of Our Daily Bread. And while we really appreciate the roots of our organization, it started out, 34 years ago as a faith-based interfaith organization. We still have a lot of those same congregations that are with us today, supporting us. But over the years, we have evolved, and our programming has broadened. And so we had this opportunity just in the past couple of years where we were going to, we needed to change our website so that it was mobile friendly. And so that prompted the conversation, well, if we're going to do that, then we might really want to consider doing our website. Well, if we're going to do that, if we were ever going to change our name, now would be the time.
So people associated the name Our Daily Bread with some of your early programming, which was helping to relieve some of the homelessness in Fairfax County, and by providing meal services to
emergency
people.
Food assistance, putting food on the table.
Mm-hmm. And then that kind of over time, you began to do other services. You began to do other things other than that. but your name still was called Our Daily Bread.
And I think a lot of people didn't understand, and our staff certainly brought it to our attention, that they were fielding phone calls that were wasting a lot of time because people thought we did devotionals or they thought we were a bakery. And if you actually Googled from a social media perspective, if you Googled Our Daily Bread, there were hundreds of them all over the country. It was not a unique name. So our staff were fielding calls and checks and donations that were made to the wrong organization.
And we also had people in the community that would assume that all we did was food, and so they wouldn't consider us if they wanted to get involved in another way in the community. And so here we had all of this programming, and we needed volunteers. So it just was, it just really made sense, and so it was a unanimous decision.
And Britepaths really does reflect what you do. So let's talk about the mission of Britepaths, and then we can talk a bit about some of the programming. The mission? So
what we try to do is stabilize families in the Fairfax County area. Usually they're low to moderate income and they're struggling financially. And so we try to provide programming that stabilizes families and then builds resilience, and then providing seasonal supports to offset costs. And so for stabilizing families, you think of making sure that there's food on the table to feed your family, or you're helping to pay a rent, or help with auto repair. We're one of the few organizations in Fairfax County that offers auto repair assistance, and you know it's critical to get to your job to make the money to pay the rent. So you have to have that ability.
One thing goes wrong if you're living paycheck to paycheck. You have an illness or you have an incident where you have a car breakdown. That's a huge chunk of money to be able to afford that, and it might actually stop you from getting to your job. And so Britepaths steps in and helps.
Right. Yeah. And I think it's surprising for people to hear that there are people that live in poverty in Fairfax County, because you know you think of it as very affluent, and you just don't see poverty around you the way that I think that most people sort of think about it. You know, the poverty is where you are maybe in an apartment, but you live with two other families in that apartment, and there's a padlock on the refrigerator door because the owner of the person who leases the apartment won't allow you to use it, and so your family's tucked in another
so it's really it's a hidden epidemic.
It's very hidden, and so we have more people in Fairfax County that are living in poverty than any other jurisdiction in Virginia.
And what are the numbers? Is that families and then children that you're serving, or that are considered in poverty in the county?
So I think it's about 60,000 people that are in poverty at this moment, and you know the numbers fluctuate. But ever since 2008, the number of people that are living in poverty has continued to grow.
And part of that is housing costs. I mean, and you're kind of talking about that a little bit with the doubling and tripling up. A lot of what puts hardworking people who are working 3 jobs in such a precarious situation is the cost of housing, and it's not just people working minimum wage jobs. There are young people graduating college who can't afford. There are seniors on a fixed income who can't afford housing. And so the housing costs are driving the increase in poverty. There's just not enough affordable places for people to live, and especially if you are working a minimum wage job, or you're a low-skilled worker, or you're a single mom who has children.
Right, 25% of Fairfax County renters pay more than 30%, more than 50% of their annual income on housing. And so that's just a recipe for needing assistance, because like you were saying, it just doesn't take much to topple your budget and put you in a very precarious situation.
So are your services offered to Fairfax County residents mainly, or is it more a wider metro area?
Well, so we have, our main focus is Fairfax County, because we get a grant through Fairfax County. And so we're reporting to those numbers, but we do have other programming that goes outside of Fairfax County. So like some of our programs that build resilience in families, financial literacy, mentoring to at-risk pregnant women, and those programs dip outside of Fairfax County, but primarily it is Fairfax County.
And there's a collaboration piece here too, because we really, the financial literacy programs that Lisa started so many years ago, this has become one of the core things that we do. And so we collaborate with a lot of other nonprofits who provide services to low-income working people, but they don't do financial literacy. So our program is now working through the other nonprofits for us to provide that service to their clients. And I think more collaboration among nonprofits in Northern Virginia is the answer. People need financial literacy, but if some of these other nonprofits who do transitional housing, or they're a shelter, or they provide food assistance, don't do that, they don't have to reinvent the wheel. We're already doing it very well.
Right.
Can you give me some examples of what your financial literacy program involves?
Sure. So we have provide financial literacy in a number of different type of models, and so one of them, our strongest one, is financial mentoring. So that would we would have someone who, like you or you, would have some sort of financial background, and we would match you with a client who is ready and willing to take a deep dive analysis of their financial situation, create a budget, work on maintaining that budget. And so we have an 80% success rate of those clients that are a part of that program. And I love the financial mentoring program because that makes the most lasting change of any of the programs that we have. Excuse me. And then the other types are, we've got financial counseling clinics. We partner with Western Fairfax Christian Ministries in Chantilly and United Community Ministries over in Alexandria. Once a month, we have volunteer financial advisors that will come in, give an hour of their time to meet with a client to address some sort of financial crisis, and the client walks out with a credit report, credit score, and a 3-point action plan of what they can do to address their situation. And then we have classes like what Catherine was talking about. We partner with other nonprofits around the area, and we can customize the modules that we use, which is the FDIC's Money Smart program, which is free, and it's not selling any products or services. And we train volunteers who have experience in presenting and like to teach and like to be with people to deliver these classes, and oftentimes in Spanish. And then we are really excited because we just got a grant through the United Way to launch our financial empowerment center down in the South County Government Center building. So we're hoping to take advantage of the Access Fairfax, where it's a room with computers that anybody in that area, the Route 1 corridor, can use, and we are in on the back wall, and we provide financial counseling and coaching, one-on-one coaching. And we also offer lots of other classes, including how to start your own business, and home buying, and understanding credit history, credit reports, how to build your credit. So we're really excited about that because we're hoping to serve at least 1,200 people this year with that program.
Do people self-select into the program because they've heard about it, or are they guided there from various paths? How do the clients arrive at Britepaths? Usually
it's through a social worker or a caseworker. We don't do a lot of marketing because we just don't have the bandwidth and the money for that kind of advertising. But word of mouth gets out, and so that helps a lot. So primarily the driver is social workers from other nonprofits and or county. And you have a special program for pregnant women who have the Naomi Project. And so this project, this nonprofit is very special because they came to Britepaths. Naomi Project has been around for 20 plus years, and the founder was retiring, and they needed a new place, a new home. And they came to Britepaths, and it was a really great fit because they're using the model of mentoring, which we already do and know so well. And so the Naomi Project provides a a way for anyone, typically women, who will become a mentor, support person for someone who's at risk. There's a Healthy Families program out there already, and it's very robust, and it requires, it offers public health nurses and some stronger supports.
And parenting skills
and
as well?
parenting skills. But so I guess my point is that we have we target a population that doesn't quite fit into Healthy Families, but they still need support. So we're working strongly with Fairfax County Public Schools because we see that there's a lot of need for teen girls that decide to keep their babies. And that's a very trying time, and so providing them support. And so a mentor will stay with the woman who is pregnant up to 2 years of the baby's life. And so it's just it's a great way for someone in that situation to help
gain some life skills as well.
Right, and also to understand how to navigate the healthcare system. So we also serve a lot of immigrant families.
And do you have people, translators on staff, or?
Well, we do, but a lot of our volunteers. I mean, we get a lot of Spanish-speaking volunteers, and we need more. But we do try to get people with all different language skills to provide assistance.
And even if language is a barrier, we've had the volunteers say, even if they don't speak the same language, they find a way to communicate. And I think part of the benefit of the NAOV project too is they need to understand, for newly arrived people, what the culture is around childcare. Child safety. We use car seats,
right?
Cribs, sleeping, putting them on their backs. We don't put kids on their. My baby slept on their stomach. We don't do that anymore.
Right.
And so culturally, some of these mentors are helping with really basic things about this nutrition and safety, that kids need their shots, they need to go to their well visits, and also literacy, believe it or not, is giving books, because that's something also that culturally some parents or teenage mothers may not know, that having books and reading to your baby early on is a great predictor of their success, language success, and everything else. So all of that's wrapped into the Naomi Project.
So those are building resilience. That's part of that building resilience piece. And then you have the stabilizing families part.
Right, so that's that food assistance and financial assistance. So helping people with providing food to feed their families. And so we've got a couple of different programs, but the main one is where we provide 2 weeks worth of food once a month to a family, and we have congregations that will collect that food, sort the food, and actually deliver it to the families in need. And we have about 60 families on the program at any given time. And then we have a pantry in our office that if we get a referral from a social worker, then someone can get some food right away. And but then financial assistance, that's we pay for. We help to offset the costs for rent and car repair, pharmaceuticals, and utilities. And we always pay directly to the landlord or the vendor, never to the client. So we work through social workers. They have to have a referral in order to receive any assistance at Britepaths.
And we also made a really important pivot several years ago away from food to grocery gift cards, and there was a lot of reason for that. A lot of times, people feel good about donating food, but it's not always the food that people want or need.
Right.
And so you would deliver a basket of food to somebody, and that's all well and good, but if your kids don't eat that food, or people have food allergies, or then it's not as helpful as giving them a grocery gift card, which allows them to buy milk and bread and eggs and the things that their family eats. It also fits into our financial literacy mentoring, because we're trying to teach them how to budget, how to shop, how to save, how to look at unit costs and things, where giving them a card and helping them to figure out the best way to nutritiously feed their family on a budget is actually more helpful than showing up at the door with food that has just randomly been donated.
Yes, so someone was just trying to get rid of that pumpkin, jar of pumpkin.
And that's why it doesn't work. So what we do,
cranberry sauce, I'm telling you.
so what we do now is we do have a list of the things that we do need. Cooking oil is something that we, people need. But things like laundry detergent or
Toiletries.
Staples.
Yeah, because WIC, SNAP, those kinds of funds will not cover those things.
Really?
They
Or
will not
diapers.
cover those things.
Wow.
So, yeah, not toilet paper, not feminine hygiene products, not paper towels, none of the things that most of us need every day. It's very limited what public assistance will cover. So when you give somebody a grocery gift card, you are empowering them to get the things they specifically need for their family. And so donors had to wrap their arms around not just cleaning out their pantry and giving, the soup that nobody at their house would eat, but instead donating online. And that's the other thing. When we buy grocery gift cards in bulk, there's a benefit. The grocers actually add extra on when we buy in bulk. So
It stretches the donor dollar.
it stretches the donor dollar, but it's a different way of giving, and not everybody wants to give that way. And so with our faith communities, we've really tried to balance their desire to continue to do the actual food donations with the fact that those grocery gift cards have so many benefits in so many ways on so many levels, with us trying to help them in the long term be self-sufficient and learn how to shop and cook and nutritiously feed their families.
It's wonderful. And the third kind of core part of the programming is seasonal supports.
Right. So we provide a way for getting school supplies into the hands of students, and we do that through Collect for Kids. And Collect for Kids was started, I'm not sure, probably a decade ago by. I can't remember the name of the nonprofit. It's not coming to my mind, but they had this model where they were able to work with office supply stores and get a very deep discount to buy school supplies in bulk. And they worked directly with the school social workers to identify what supplies do you need that would outfit the kids that you identify for the school year. And so we jumped onto that model because we believe that the social workers have a really good sense of who needs what throughout the year. And then again, it stretches the donor dollar. We tried to collect cash to buy a lot of these supplies in bulk. And so where you and I would spend maybe $40 at an office supply store, we can spend that same $40 and outfit four kids. So it really is a great use of the donor dollar, and it gets the school supplies into the hands of the students that need them. And so we work with Collect for Kids is a Fairfax County-wide sort of program, and it tries to tie nonprofits to different school pyramids. And so Britepaths is partnered with Fairfax High School Pyramid and the Jeb Stuart Pyramid. And so we're serving about 2,500 students every year with school supplies.
That's wonderful.
And then the holiday program, we are providing about 500 families with seasonal supports, and we only do that through the community support. We have a way for people in the community to sponsor a family or adopt a family for the holidays, Thanksgiving and the December holidays. And so people can participate by either providing a delivered cooked holiday meal, or they can give the family a gift card so that the family can go out and purchase the items that they want, or a combination of the both. So there's a lot of different ways to get involved. But those seasonal supports are critical because it's stressful.
Yes.
It's stressful for parents to, get to pay for some of those items when you are financially stretched anyway, and there's a lot of pressure on parents.
And you want to create some normalcy around your family life,
Right.
and that's a time of year where it's difficult to do if you have financial difficulties.
Right.
So if people wanted to volunteer, how would they get involved with Britepaths?
Well, so the best thing that they can do is go to britepaths.org. And we have on our Get Involved page, we've got a list of different urgent needs for volunteers. We've got an event that's coming up, Artful Living, on April 21st, and we'll be looking for volunteers to be on our event committee to plan the event. But we're always in search of mentors for the Naomi Project, or mentors for financial literacy, instructors for financial literacy. And then we have opportunities for people to work in the office. We have some office volunteers that have been with us, I don't know, maybe 7 years or more.
Long time.
And in some of them, we've actually hired. So they're wonderful, absolutely wonderful, dedicated people. And so we are really blessed to have some of them on our volunteer pool. So anyway, so go into the Britepaths.
Britepaths.org.
And this is also good for companies. There's a lot of corporations and businesses who want to encourage their employees to do some kind of volunteer work. And for a lot of companies, especially if they've got people with financial background or corporate background, being a financial mentor might fit right in with what they're already doing in their real job. And so that's another way for an HR person or whoever handles sort of volunteer activities for employees of a company is to get in touch with us to find out if that would be a good match. If you've got employees in your company and you think this is something they would do, we're more than happy to partner with area businesses to bridge that. You've got employees and we've got a need.
Do you have some current partners and sponsors that you're working with?
Yeah. So we have different sponsors and corporations that, like InScope, will come in and do a packaging for the Thanksgiving delivery and get that out the door, and that's wonderful. One thing I wanted to mention was our 3 Cups of Coffee. This is a brand new program that we started last year. It's modeled after a program up in Pennsylvania. And what we do with this program, it's trying to provide networking opportunities for people who are job ready, but they don't have the social capital or that sort of networking to get a job. 85% of jobs are gotten through networking.
Yeah.
The studies have shown. And so if you are raised in an environment where you don't have a lot of opportunities, your parents haven't had the same sort of opportunities, but you are ready you've already got maybe a living wage job, but you think that you can do more, we'll match you with somebody in over 3 cups of coffee that professional, like you or me or you, would meet with them and go over their resume, figure out what they want, and then introduce them to your network.
That's wonderful. You're doing so much at Britepaths.
Right.
You really are. Thank you so much for visiting with us today. Lisa, Catherine.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
You've really been very informative. I'm sure our audience members feel the same way. Thank you for watching On the Go with AAUW.